Hello, YouTube. Name's Aaron Olinger. And I want to say hello to family and friends. This is going to be my first video. Everyone knows I don't usually do this, but there's something going on right now that I feel everybody should know about. So I want to get this video out there as soon as I could. On, I say September 21st, I learned that the country was going through a banking crisis. I was hearing very little information about it, because the media has been pretty quiet on it, and I had to do quite a bit of digging to find some information. But it became apparent to me that this crap going on with Trump is nothing but a distraction. This, where they want to impeach him, it's basically a big distraction so that you don't see that the bank that you're banking with is having a liquidity crisis going on right now. And without the Fed's help to keep them going, they would probably end up shutting down and taking your money with them. I mean, today is Thursday, September 26th, and right now we're having a major banking crisis going on. I mean, when you go to the bank, you want to believe that when you put your money in there, it's safe. You want to believe every time you go to the ATM, it's going to kick money out to you. But I can tell you right now, if it wasn't for the Fed kicking money out to them on a nightly basis, that wouldn't be happening right now. I mean, right now, as you go to sleep tonight, you'll be sleeping comfortably, but what you don't know is the Fed is paying right now $70 to $100 billion a night to the banks so that they can stay open. I mean, it started off being just 30 billion, then it went to about 40 or 50. Last I heard it was 70, and just recently I learned that now, as of today, it's going to $100 billion. Now, everybody's keeping an eye on the Trump situation and getting their hopes up with the Trump hate train that he's about to be impeached. And they're not seeing that they stand a chance to lose the money that they got in the banks right now. Now, from what I hear, the Federal Reserve is saying that this bailout could last up to 30 days. Now, I don't know when it started. I didn't find out about it till September 21st, which was this past weekend. But the banks are having a major liquidity crunch. They do not have the money to cover everything that they used to have. And keep in mind that we bailed these people out. The U.S. taxpayers did in 2008. Now, just 10 and a half years later or so, they're in worse trouble than they were in 2008. And you know, it's not being very well reported on in the mainstream media. And as of today, I learned that we have paid over $500 billion, and well, not us, but the Federal Reserve has paid over $500 billion to them in the process of bailing them out on a daily basis. Otherwise, most of them would be shut down right now. And by throwing money at the situation, they hoped that it would get better. But here recently, I learned that the situation is actually getting worse. That's the reason why I wanted to put this video out there. You know, and everybody can sit back and say, well, my bank's not being bailed out. And I can tell you right now, all of them are. They're all in bad shape. And what I want to do is I want to play a short 2 or 3 minute video for you. I want you to see this for yourself so that you can see what's going on and know that this isn't no conspiracy theory. So I'm about to let you see this video.
So much. There's a lot going on tonight, folks. Remember we reported earlier this week that the Fed was pumping money into banks to cover their repo markets. That's essentially how banks lend money to other banks. An interesting thing that happened that led the Fed to do this. See, this is what happened. Interest rates shot up in the repo market, something that has historically spelled disaster for the U.S. economy. So the Fed, as we've been reporting exclusively, has been responding by pumping billions of dollars to help the banks stay afloat. Now, at first, the Fed made this sound as if the whole thing was just a temporary, it's a minor glitch, they said, in the system. But our own Christy Ive, host of RT's Boom Bust, did some digging, and she found out that what they're saying may not be entirely honest. In fact, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to play for you Christie's appearance on this newscast Monday night. Here it is.
And so the Fed actually released their new schedule already, and their schedule shows that they expect the problem to now persist for a month.
Oh my goodness.
Maybe even longer.
And Christie was obviously right. She's joining us now to tell us exactly how right she was. So what's going on now?
So the problem has continued this entire week and has actually gotten worse. And while most of media and even Fed officials, they actually came out and tried to placate the market, saying that, oh, there's absolutely nothing wrong. It was a simple supply and demand error. And some of them blamed it on potential corporate tax day, and some other even blamed it on Treasury settlement dates. How can we blame it on them when those two factors are easily forecastable by industry professionals?
So they say, look, this is nothing, 3, 4, 5 days at the most. We're going to put a little money into the system and everything is going to be fine. In actuality, they're putting $75 billion every night of our money into the system, and you're saying it could go on for a month. I'm not a mathematician, but I'm looking at trillions and trillions of dollars here, right?
So far, we've pumped in over $400 billion into the system. That's almost $500 billion into the system, pumping $75 billion every single day. And yesterday, the situation hasn't gotten better. It's actually gotten worse. Worse enough that they actually implemented term repos, something that they haven't done in over a decade.
What does this mean for the economy, for the average guy out there trying to make a living and take care of his family? I can imagine if they're putting this much money, Christie, into banks, the banks must not be in that great a shape.
Exactly. The banks are experiencing a liquidity crunch right now, and the situation potentially will even get worse as the month progresses, because as we approach month end, the banks have been previously holding back because they don't want to stick their hands under the Fed's liquidity spigot in fear that, if a reporter hears, a client hears, or maybe my partner lending bank hears that I'm taking money from the Fed, they might think that I'm in a liquidity crunch. Banks don't want to do that, so they have now been holding back. But holding back to the tune that they are now asking for $190 billion a night.
This is good reporting on your part. You're really doing a great job on this story and kind of leading the way, by the way. Does this usually signal, you know what I'm going to ask you, does this usually signal some bad times ahead, recession maybe?
It does signal that there is something inherently wrong with our current credit system and our current funding system, especially since right now the banks, they do not have enough excess reserve capacity in order to cover these very short-term loans.
You've been all over this, by the way, and I'm just wondering, is there any possibility that this will actually come to an end at some point? How long can this continue?
Exactly. So the Fed originally said that they were only going to do this for temporarily. It was going to be a temporary operation. But so far, yesterday they implemented term repo, and today they actually doubled it. Term repo was an additional $30 billion on top of the $70 billion. Today, they increased the limit. So now, instead of $30 billion, they increased the limit to $60. Instead of $75 billion a night, it's now $100 billion a night.
So this could go on for months?
Exactly. With no end in sight, because the truth is that the Fed lost control of the very rate that they were mandated to manage.
And this is a story that generally is not being reported, even by some of the business networks. And here we've been now for 3 days giving it to the American people, and I think it's something they really ought to know. Good job. Well done. You're really all over this story. You ought to, you deserve kudos, as they say, or props for this reporting. Breaking news out of Israel as the Israeli president.
Okay, you heard it for yourself. Banks that you're banking with, they're almost insolvent. And without this influx of money that's coming in nightly, they wouldn't be open the next day. The work around here, for those of you that are prepping, is start keeping some money at home. Keep in mind that FEMA tells you to maintain at least 3 months worth of money that can cover all your bills at home in your property. That way, if something happens, a bank holiday gets declared, like they did in Greece and Cyprus, and then they only let those people have $60 a week to cover a whole month's worth of bills, start keeping some money at home. That way, if something happens, you won't be suffering as bad as other people. Also, if you got time, start stocking up some food, a little extra water at your house, because if there is a collapse of the banking system, which I hope not, but if there is, you've got to be able to last through the turmoil period until things start to pick back up. So start keeping some extra food and water at the house, a little extra fuel. If you live in up north, you might want to keep some extra kerosene or propane for heating during the winter. Definitely some extra gas for your car, because again, if things go down, you may not be able to purchase gasoline. And I would say make sure your prescriptions and everything are current. Have some extra of that at the house if you can. And then lastly, have some form of self-defense, because what I saw with Greece and in Spain, Venezuela, other places, when the banking system collapsed, there was civil unrest. So have some form of self-defense or a way that you can protect yourself and your property and your family. So I just wanted to get that message out to everyone, and keep prepping, because as they say, tomorrow goes to those that prepare for it today. I get that from Demcad. So stay alert. Don't be distracted by these fake news stories, and stay on top of what's going on, because when they start trying to distract you, you can always believe there's something else that's right there that they don't want you to see. So everyone out there, stay safe and keep prepping. Bye-bye.